Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Pedal and Plan Canada. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my trip to Montreal that I took with Via Rail. So my trip to Montreal started pretty early, arriving at the station at 5:40 and the train departing at 6:07. And on the way out of the station, I got to see the one and only Lumi, a yellow train set operated by Via Rail in the corridor. So that was a pretty cool sight to see. The rest of the train ride was pretty normal, although we did have to wait on a siding for another Via Rail train going towards Ottawa, which was a bummer because I thought we were going to have a straight journey since we were the earliest train, but I guess not. My train was packed, at least in my car, so there was a lot of talking. Even though there was a lot of talking, I still got some good sleep in, as well as some good footage of the trains and the tracks, which really begs the question, why don't more people take the train to Montreal from Ottawa, considering it's a 4 hour or more to Montreal from Ottawa drive, and the train only takes 2 hours or more from Ottawa, so it's such more of a pleasant experience. But anyway, to Montreal. Arriving in Montreal was really nice because I got to see all the new high-rises, and I really liked Montreal downtown because it had a bit of a mix of that modern feel, and it was very dense. Now, I felt that Gare Centrale, compared to Union Station in Toronto, was much less confusing, especially since this was my first time. I felt like the signage was very direct, even though I feel like the Orange Line subway could be more conveniently connected to the main station, but I guess that's a video for another time. But the REM was very good location inside the station, since also when I was leaving the station, I was able to see some Via Rail trains coming in on the REM. So I really liked that about the station. Also, there was plenty of shops. It felt like it was more of a destination for even shoppers than a destination for transit riders. So that was really good. It just gave people another reason to get to the station, which is just a really good idea. But you know what else is a really good idea? Is having a lot of people taking your metro, which is another point I want to get to because the Montreal Metro, especially the Orange Line and the Green Line, as well as even the Yellow Line, was very busy. Constant trains were full all the time. So that was really good about Montreal. It really just shows how much transit plays a part in their city and how it's just way more efficient to take the subway when you could take the car downtown. So it really just makes the subway such a better option, and it really shows in the ridership that I saw while downtown. So I took the subway from the Orange Line station, Bonaventure, or Gare Centrale, to Barrie UQAM, which was a pretty interesting station since it was the terminus for the Yellow Line and had two stations for the Green Line and the Orange Line. So it was a pretty busy station, as well as the Yellow Line platforms were really deep, so I found that pretty cool. So I took it from Barrie UQAM to Jean Drapeau Station down in the Jean Drapeau Park for me because I really wanted to see the F1 track, which was good because I really liked how the Jean Drapeau Station was close to the F1 track, so it was easy for people to get there and back. So that's all I'm really going to talk about the Montreal Metro for now, but another thing I want to talk about is bike share in Montreal. I definitely noticed that there was a lot of people biking in Montreal, not necessarily with their own private bikes, but I saw a whole bunch of people using the bike share bikes, as in the Bixi bikes. Now, I'm not sure, since I don't live in Montreal, if that's the main provider or how any of that really works, but I really noticed people were really biking on those things a lot, especially in downtown too, and especially around the Jean Drapeau Park. It was really popular, especially because you're able to ride on the F1 track with your bike and around there. So I think that's really good. I mean, better people on bikes than in their car and polluting the air. So that was another thing I found really good about Montreal. Now I want to touch on the REM. Well, my experience with the REM was great. The trains are really nice, they're really clean, and they go really fast, compared to Ottawa, where it's really loud with all the grinding on the tracks and the slow turns. I really found that the REM, especially since I'm from Ottawa, was ripping through those turns and stuff, which is really good because it just speeds up people's journeys, and the higher speeds make people want to take transit more often, which is great. And one thing I loved was how the north-south connection between the Montreal Metro and the REM is great, just because it opens up so much more ridership potentials, considering the Montreal subway mostly serves the west, east, and some parts of the north and south, but then the REM is just really great because it just goes straight north and south. So it'll speed up a whole bunch of people's journeys and be a great transport connector for the city. Now, during my trip, I didn't ride the Montreal STM bus service or the EXO, but I really wanted to ride the EXO, but I just didn't have enough time. Since it was a day trip, train leaves in the morning, goes back in the afternoon, and I really would have wanted to ride the EXO because as someone who really liked the GO train service in Toronto, it would have been nice to see a different variation of that in a different city. So that would have been pretty cool. But then this basically sums up my day. I took the Montreal Metro and the subway most of the day, explored some cool walkable suburbs, and so that brings me back. I came back to Gare Centrale, and I got on my Via Rail train, which was a new Siemens train set, by the way. And something really weird happened to me. At Dorval Station, we had apparently been too early, so we got delayed, which basically meant we had to wait at the station to leave at 3 minutes later, which is kind of stupid. But I guess it's because since we share tracks of CN and in the Ottawa Via Rail subdivision, we have to sometimes wait for trains on sidings, so that might have been why, but I'm not really sure. But really, it was just a good ride, and even though I can't believe we got too early, because leaving the Montreal Gare Centrale, it felt like we were crawling along from that section to Dorval. So that was really weird. But really, my ride was great. The Via Rail service is really good. And for anyone who has any doubts about taking the train from Ottawa to Montreal, it's fast. You're most likely guaranteed to get on a new Siemens train set. And it's really just a great experience. Thank you for listening to this episode of Pedal and Plan Canada. Catch us next week.